Thank you for joining us at Prime Wisdom Hub, where every story is crafted to inspire and enlighten. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's begin today's story. 1. Keep your distance. Long ago, there was a hunter. Each time he caught wild animals, he would take the skins home and leave the meat behind. Every day, a male lion passed by, saw the fresh meat, and ate his fill. Over time, the hunter and the lion became familiar, even friendly. One day, the hunter approached the lion and placed his hand on its back. The lion simply wagged its tail, showing no aggression. Thinking he had tamed the beast, the hunter decided to climb onto its back, imagining he could ride it like a horse. The moment he did, the lion roared furiously, flung him to the ground, and tore him apart with its claws. Reflection. Closeness does not equal safety, and trust does not mean control. Even the most familiar bond needs boundaries. The hunter's arrogance blinded him to the truth. Wild nature can never be fully tamed. 2. Life is like climbing a mountain. A young man who loved mountain climbing once visited a famous climber to ask for advice. He asked, "Master, what should I do if it suddenly rains while I'm halfway up the mountain?" The climber replied, "Keep climbing to the top." The young man was puzzled. "But it's even stormier up there," the expert explained. "True, but it's safer. If you go down, you'll face landslides and might be buried alive. If you climb up, you'll endure the storm and survive." Reflection. Life is like climbing a mountain. Running from hardship may bring temporary peace, but only by facing challenges can we truly rise above them. 3. The Country Mouse and the City Mouse. In Aesop's fables, there is a story about two mice, one from the city, one from the countryside. The country mouse invited the city mouse to visit and served a modest meal of grains, beans, and apples. The city mouse scoffed, "You live too simply. Come to the city where the food never ends." So they went together. The country mouse was amazed by the luxurious feast, but as they began to eat, a dog barked. Both mice ran for their lives. When they returned, the country mouse said, "I'd rather eat corn in peace than feast in fear." Reflection. Luxury without peace is misery. True happiness comes from contentment, not abundance. 4. Repaying kindness with harm. A deer once saw a wolf trapped under a fallen tree and decided to help. Using its antlers, the deer lifted the log and freed the wolf. The wolf, upon being saved, immediately said, "Thank you, now I'm starving, I'll eat you instead." The deer cried, "I just saved you." But the wolf growled, "I'm grateful, but I'm hungry." They argued and finally asked a bear to judge. The bear said, "Let's recreate the scene." When the wolf lay back under the log, the bear smiled. "Now that balance is restored, let's leave it there." Then the deer walked away and the wolf was crushed to death once more. Reflection. Kindness should be offered with wisdom. Not everyone who receives your help will repay it with gratitude. 5. Fighting the fire. A man's house caught fire. He ran out and then realized he had left his belongings upstairs. He went to his neighbor's house to borrow a ladder. He politely bowed 3 times, drank a cup of wine, and said, "My house is burning. May I borrow your ladder?" The neighbor shouted, "Are you mad?" By the time the man arrived with the ladder, his house was gone. Reflection. In urgent moments, hesitation and formality can be more destructive than the fire itself. 6. The Clam and the Crane. On a riverbank, a clam opened its shell to bask in the sun. A crane swooped down to eat it. The clam clamped shut on the crane's beak. The crane said, "If it doesn't rain today or tomorrow, you'll dry out and die." The clam replied, "If I don't let you go today or tomorrow, you'll starve to death." Neither yielded. Finally, a fisherman came by and caught them both. Reflection. When both sides fight to win, they often lose together. 7. Mosey's plain words. The king of Chu once asked Mosey's student, "Your master is wise, but why does he speak so awkwardly?" The student replied, "Let me tell you 2 stories. A man from Chu went to sell jewels in Zheng. His box was exquisite, scented wood, polished lacquer, fine inlay. The jewels were genuine, but the buyers only wanted the box." Another story. A lord gave away his daughter with 70 beautiful maids. The groom ignored the bride and fell for the maids instead. He concluded, "Those who speak too elegantly draw attention to their words, not their meaning. My master uses plain words so the truth can shine through." Reflection. Truth does not need decoration. Words of sincerity may sound plain but reach the heart. 8. The thief and General Zifa. A thief once visited General Zifa of Chu and said, "I hear you value talent. My skill is theft." Instead of punishing him, Zifa said, "A talented man indeed." The ministers were shocked, but Zifa explained, "Every skill has its use." Later, when Chu went to war, the thief offered to help. He sneaked into the enemy camp 3 times, stealing the general's tent, his pillow, and his hairpin, each time leaving behind a note of thanks. Terrified, the enemy thought, "The Chu army must be supernatural," and fled. Reflection. True leadership lies in knowing how to use people's strengths, not judging their flaws. 9. The most important thing. A wise king sought to know, what is the most important time, the most important person, and the most important thing to do? He asked many scholars, but none satisfied him. Finally, a hermit answered through example. While helping the hermit dig, the king tended a wounded stranger. The next morning, the man confessed, "I was your enemy, but you saved me. Now I am your friend." The hermit said, "The most important time is now. The most important person is the one beside you. And the most important thing is to love." 10. The cart of Yue. Long ago, the people of Yue didn't know how to make carts. One man brought back a broken one from Jin and bragged that he could build the same. Everyone copied him. When war came, their poorly made carts collapsed and the army was crushed. Reflection. Imitation without understanding leads to ruin. Learning means improving, not copying blindly. 11. The Last Supper. It is said that when Leonardo da Vinci was painting his masterpiece, The Last Supper, he once saw a young man reciting poetry inside a church in Milan. The young man had bright eyes and a pure, kind face. Leonardo invited him to model for the figure of Jesus. Years passed and the painting was still unfinished. One day, Leonardo walked through a tavern and noticed a man with a hardened expression, eyes full of deceit, face filled with greed, his body reeking of alcohol. The artist realized this man was the perfect model for Judas, the betrayer. When the man arrived at the studio, Leonardo stared at him and asked, "Haven't we met before?" The man lowered his head and whispered, "Yes. Years ago, I was the one you chose to model for Jesus." Reflection. A few years can change a person entirely, from light to darkness, from virtue to corruption. 12. Teamwork. During the historic Apollo 11 mission, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to walk on the moon. Armstrong's words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," echoed across the world. At the celebration banquet, a journalist asked Aldrin, "Do you ever regret not being the first man to step on the moon?" Smiling, Aldrin replied, "When we came home, I was the first to step back onto Earth." Then he added playfully, "So I suppose that makes me the first man to return from another world." The audience burst into laughter and applause. Reflection. True greatness isn't about standing in the spotlight, but about understanding your role in a shared success. 13.2 Trusting a shepherd tended his flock every day. One night a thief approached but saw the shepherd awake and alert, so he stayed to chat instead. The next evening the thief returned carrying a tiger's skin. He laid it in the grass and told the shepherd, "The tiger sent me to ask for a sheep." The shepherd looked into the distance and saw what seemed like a tiger's head among the grass. Terrified, he said, "Take whichever one you like." Day after day, the thief came again, each time claiming the tiger wanted another sheep, until none were left. Reflection. Trust is precious, but blind trust invites deceit. Kindness must walk hand in hand with caution. 14. The optimistic blind men. Two blind men were walking together. One said, "It's not so bad being blind. People with sight work all day long. We get to live in peace." The other agreed, "Yes, farmers must have it tough." Just then, some mischievous villagers pretended to be royal inspectors and shouted, "Make way for the royal envoy," then struck each blind man with a stick. As they stumbled away, one said, "See, being blind is still better. If we could see, we'd have been jailed for not bowing fast enough." Reflection. Even in hardship, those who focus on the bright side find reasons to smile. 15. Learning to let go. Two poor woodcutters lived on a mountain. One day they found two big sacks of cotton and were overjoyed. Halfway down the mountain, one noticed the other's sack was coarser fabric and said, "Let's trade. Cloth is worth more than cotton." The other shook his head. "We're halfway down already, no need to change." Further along, they found a chest of gold and silver. The first shouted, "Let's drop everything and take the gold." The second hesitated. "What if it's fake?" So only one carried the treasure. When rain came, the other's cotton grew heavy with water, and he had to abandon it, returning home empty-handed. Reflection. Wisdom lies in knowing when to let go. Those who cling too tightly to the past lose what's ahead. 16. The humble stableman. When Yanzi served as Prime Minister of Qi, he once passed a stableman who had recently been promoted. His wife saw him riding proudly on a carriage and sneered, "Yanzi is a great minister, yet remains humble, while you, a mere stableman, so dare act superior. I won't live with a man like that." Ashamed, the man changed his ways, becoming modest and diligent. Hearing of this, Yanzi admired his humility and later appointed him as a nobleman. Reflection. Humility is the ladder to greatness. Arrogance is the path to downfall. 17. For others. A little girl and her father were strolling through a rose garden. "Daddy," she said, "these roses smell so lovely." The elderly gardener overheard and smiled. "If you love them, please take some home." The father thanked her and praised the beautiful garden. The woman laughed softly and said, "I can't see them, you know, and I'm blind, but I plant them so others can enjoy their beauty." Reflection. True beauty isn't in possession, but in sharing. 18. The missing axe. A man lost his axe and immediately suspected the boy next door. He watched the boy walk. "He walks like a thief," he thought. He listened to the boy speak. He talks like a thief. Everything about the boy seemed guilty. Later, the man found the missing axe in a crevice near the woods. The next time he saw the boy, he realized the boy looked completely innocent. Reflection. When suspicion clouds our heart, we see guilt everywhere. The fault lies not in others, but in our own perception. 19. The dying bird. The king of Lu captured a rare seabird and treated it as an honored guest. He ordered music and lavish food to entertain it. But the bird trembled in fear, refused to eat or drink, and soon died. Reflection. Kindness without understanding is cruelty. To care for someone, we must meet them where they are, not where we wish them to be. 20. The master fisherman. In the state of Chu lived a man named John Hay, famous for his fishing skills. He used a silk thread, a blade of grass as a hook, and half a grain of rice as bait, yet always caught a cartful of fish. The king of Chu invited him to court and asked for his secret. John, he replied, I learned from Bo Shuzi, the master archer. His arrows hit every target because his heart was calm. When I fish, I do the same. No excitement, no impatience. The fish mistake my bait for a drifting crumb, and they come willingly. Reflection. Mastery lies in stillness. Focused calm is more powerful than force. 21. The shadow. A man was annoyed by his own shadow and wanted to get rid of it. He tried everything, striking it with a stick, jumping into the water, yet the shadow followed him everywhere. A scholar happened to see this and asked, "What's troubling you, friend?" The man complained that he couldn't escape his shadow. The scholar smiled and said, "If you truly don't want it anymore, just stand under a tree. Where there's no light, there's no shadow." Reflection. Most problems only seem impossible because we insist on fighting them the same way. A change in perspective can dissolve what once seemed unbearable. 22. Effort and burden. A couple went to see a play about the life of Jesus. After the curtain fell, they visited backstage. In the corner stood a large wooden cross, the very prop used in the crucifixion scene. The husband said, "Take a picture of me carrying it." He lifted the cross and was stunned by its weight. Gasping, he asked the actor, "Why not make it hollow and lighter?" The actor smiled. "If it were light, I couldn't truly feel his suffering. The weight reminds me what sacrifice means. It gives life to the role." Reflection. Burdens shape our souls. Only by carrying our weight can we understand compassion and truth. 23. The owl and the swallow. Huizi, the chancellor of Liang, once heard that the philosopher Zhuangzi was coming to visit. A courtier warned him, "Zhuangzi wants to take your position." Alarmed, Huizi ordered soldiers to guard the city gates. When Zhuangzi arrived, he told a story. In the southern sky lives a great bird called Yuan Chu. It only perches on the parasol tree, eats ripe fruit, and drinks pure spring water. When it flies north, an owl sees it, furious that the bird might steal its dead mouse. Zhuangzi laughed softly and asked, "Are you that owl, afraid I'll take your carcass?" Reflection. The wise never compete for petty gains. When envy drives us, we mistake our fears for truth. 24. The scholar and the thieves. Niu Kei, a learned scholar, was once robbed on a country road. "Your money or your life," the bandits shouted. He calmly handed over everything without a trace of fear. Astonished, the thieves asked, "Why aren't you angry? We just robbed you." He answered, "A gentleman does not lose his life for the sake of gold." Impressed, they praised his wisdom. But one thief whispered, "He might report us later. Better kill him." So they did. When news spread, people said, "He died because he was too righteous." But later, another man resisted robbers and lost his whole family. Reflection. No single rule fits every moment. Wisdom is knowing when courage serves life and when retreat preserves it. 25. The skull. As Zhuangzi journeyed through the state of Chu, he came upon a human skull lying among the weeds. He tapped it gently with his riding whip and said, "Were you ruined by war, condemned by law, or burdened by grief?" That night the skull appeared to him in a dream. All that pain belongs to the living. The dead know only peace. Zhuangzi asked, "Would you like to return to life? To see your family again?" The skull shuddered. "No, I fear the chains of life, the endless desires and sorrow." Reflection. Freedom is not found in living or dying, but in understanding peace within the soul. 26. Talent and uselessness. Zhuangzi and his disciples once wandered into the mountains. They saw a huge tree that provided perfect shade. A woodcutter sat beneath it resting. Zhuangzi asked, "Why don't you cut it down?" The man replied, "Its wood is worthless. No one wants it." Zhuangzi turned to his students and said, "It lives long precisely because it's useless." Later, they visited a friend who slaughtered a chicken for their meal. When asked which to kill, the one that crowed or the one that didn't, the host said, "The silent one, of course." The next morning, a disciple asked, "Master, the tree lives because it's useless. The chicken dies for the same reason. What does that mean?" Zhuangzi smiled. "Both talent and uselessness can destroy you if misunderstood. The secret is knowing when to use each." 27. The fighting rooster. A king loved cockfights and asked a master trainer to prepare a rooster for him. After 10 days, the king asked, "Is it ready?" "Not yet," the trainer said. "It's still too eager, roaring at every sound." 10 days later. "Not yet. It still bristles at the sight of another rooster." After another 10 days, "Not yet. It still glares proudly." Finally, after 40 days, the trainer said, "Now it's ready. It stands calm as wood. When other roosters see it, they run away." Reflection. True strength is quiet. Power without anger is invincible. 28. The scholar's robes. The ruler of Lu boasted to Zhuangzi, "My country has countless scholars." Zhuangzi replied, "I see very few true ones." "Why?" asked the ruler. "Everywhere I look, men wear scholars' robes." Zhuangzi said, "Wearing a robe doesn't make one wise." A true scholar understands the heavens, the earth, and virtue. To test him, the ruler decreed, "Anyone wearing a scholar's robe without real learning shall be punished." Within days, no one dared wear them, except one man whose wisdom impressed all. Zhuangzi smiled. "You see, my lord, your entire kingdom held only one true scholar." Reflection. Appearance means nothing without understanding. Wisdom cannot be worn, it must be lived. 29. The message in the bottle. Fisherman pulled up a sealed bottle with a note inside. It read, "Help me. I am stranded on a deserted island waiting by the shore. Please come, I'm right here." One man said, "There's no date. He's probably long dead." Another said, "No location. Oh no, how could we find him?" But a third murmured, "Maybe I'm right here doesn't mean the island. Maybe it means wherever we are." Reflection. Hope lives in perspective. Even when lost, the will to reach out keeps us connected to life. 30. Joy. A boy at the foot of a mountain loved to climb trees, play soccer, and dream big. He told God, "When I grow up, I want a big house, a beautiful wife, 3 sons, and a red Ferrari." Years later, he injured his knee and couldn't climb. He studied business, married a gentlewoman with black hair, and had 3 daughters. He didn't own a Ferrari, but his home was filled with laughter. One evening, remembering his childhood dream, he sighed, then smiled. My dream came true, just not the way I expected. Reflection. Happiness isn't what we wait for, it's what we recognize in the life we already have. 31. The praying mantis and the bird. One day, Zhuangzi was strolling through a flower garden when a giant bird flew down from the southern sky. Its wings spanned 7 feet and its eyes were bright as polished gems. The bird brushed against his forehead and perched on a nearby branch. Zhuangzi thought, "What a strange creature. Great wings, yet it barely flies." He quietly reached for his slingshot, ready to take aim. But just then he saw a cicada singing on a branch, unaware of the mantis creeping up behind it. And the mantis in turn didn't notice the big bird poised to strike. None of them realized Zhuangzi was aiming his sling from below. Zhuangzi sighed. All beings are caught in the same chain of greed and fear. He returned home, shut himself in, and meditated for 3 months, reflecting on the endless circle of desire and survival. Reflection. Those obsessed with chasing what's ahead forget to look behind, where danger often waits. 32. The eagle who thought he was a chicken. An old Native American story tells of a great eagle's egg that rolled down from a mountain nest during an earthquake. It landed in a chicken coop, where a kind hen sat on it and kept it warm. When the egg hatched, the little eagle grew up among the chicks. It scratched the dirt, pecked at grains, and believed it was a chicken too. One day it looked up and saw magnificent eagles soaring high in the sky. "If only I could fly like them," it sighed. The chickens laughed. "Don't be foolish. You're one of us." So the eagle lived and died believing it was a chicken, never once spreading its wings to touch the clouds. Reflection. Many people live confined by others' beliefs about them, never realizing they were born to soar. 33. The road ahead. In the stillness of night, a blind man tapped his cane along a crowded street. "Stop!" someone shouted. "It's a dead end ahead." The man smiled. "You never know until you walk it." He continued on, his footsteps fading into the darkness. Reflection. Life is a path we feel more than see. Only those who keep walking through the dark ever find the light. 34. Flowers on the Buddha's altar. Before dawn at the temple gate, a man knelt and whispered, "Master, please forgive me." 20 years earlier, he had been a novice monk, deeply loved by the abbot. But one night, seduced by worldly desires, he fled the monastery and lived a reckless life. Now filled with regret, he returned seeking forgiveness. The abbot shook his head gently. "Your sins are heavy. Only when flowers bloom upon the Buddha's altar will you be forgiven." Heartbroken, the man left. The next morning, when the abbot entered the temple, he stopped in shock. On the Buddha's altar, roses and white blossoms were blooming, their fragrance filling the hall. The abbot understood. Sincere repentance can make even stone bloom. He hurried down the mountain to find his former disciple, but the man had vanished without a trace. Reflection. When the heart truly awakens, even lifeless stone can blossom. Redemption begins where honesty is born. 35. The Prince and the Statue. A handsome prince was born with a hunched back. No doctor could heal him, and he became withdrawn, ashamed of his deformity. The king, desperate, sought counsel. A wise man said, "Carve a statue of the prince, tall, straight, proud, and place it before his house." When the prince saw the statue, something stirred within him. Each day he stood before it, imitating its posture. Slowly, his back began to straighten. Months later, he stood tall. The body had followed the image the mind believed in. Reflection. When you believe in your best self, you grow toward it. Mind first, body next. 36. The beggar and the dewdrop. At dawn, a weary beggar shifted the sack of rice from one shoulder to the other. A dewdrop landed on his palm. He looked at it and asked, "Do you know what I'm about to do?" The dewdrop answered, "You're going to drink me." The beggar laughed. "Poor little thing, even more helpless than I am." The dewdrop glistened. "Don't pity me. I gave life to a flower this morning. Soon I'll return to the clouds and fall again as rain. That's joy enough for me." The beggar stood in silence, humbled. Reflection. Meaning isn't measured by what we possess, but by what we give. Even the smallest life can hold infinite purpose. 37. Following in others' footsteps. A man tried to cross a swamp, feeling his way step by step. He soon sank into the mud. Another man saw his footprints and thought, "If I follow exactly, I'll be safe." He too got stuck. Then another and another. All met the same fate. Reflection. The path that trapped one person may trap another. Wisdom means finding your own way, not repeating someone else's. 38. Different views. A guest brought a friend to meet a respected official. After they left, the official said, "Your friend is impolite. He smiled too much, didn't mention his teacher, and stayed silent the whole time." The guest replied, "You misjudged him. His smile shows warmth, his silence shows honesty, and not mentioning his teacher means he stands on his own." Reflection. The same act can reveal opposite meanings depending on who's watching. Never judge before you understand. 39. The wrong direction. A man galloped north in his carriage. A friend shouted, "Where are you headed?" "To the state of Chu." "But Chu is south." "That's fine. My horse is fast." "But speed means nothing if you're going the wrong way." "No problem, I've got plenty of money." "Still useless." "My driver is very skilled." The friend sighed. "With so many fine conditions, you're only getting lost faster." Reflection. No matter how good your resources, the wrong direction will always lead you astray. 40. Valuing things over people. The king of Qi loved hawks for hunting rabbits. One day, his servant Zhuzhou accidentally let one escape. The furious king ordered his execution. The wise minister Yanzi stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, before you act, allow me to list his 3 crimes." The king nodded. Yanzi said, "First, he lost a hawk. Second, because of that, your Majesty will kill a man. Third, when other rulers hear of it, they will say the king of Qi values birds over people." The king fell silent, then pardoned the servant. Reflection. When anger rules, reason dies. Mercy is the crown of wisdom. 41. The tree in the wind. A powerful storm swept through the forest. The tall, proud trees stood firm, defying the wind, while the willow branches bent low, dancing with the gusts. When the storm passed, the mighty trees lay broken on the ground, but the willows still swayed gently in the breeze. A fallen pine groaned, "Why do you, so weak and slender, still stand while I am shattered?" The willow replied, "Because I knew how to yield." Reflection. Strength isn't always about resistance. Those who can bend with life's storms endure the longest. 42. The hunter and the little bird. A hunter once caught a small bird. The bird pleaded, "Please don't kill me. I'm too tiny to fill your stomach. If you let me go, I'll give you 3 precious pieces of advice." The hunter agreed. The bird gave the first lesson while still in his hand. Never believe the impossible. As it perched on a nearby branch, it said, "Never grieve for what's lost." Then from afar it laughed and shouted, "There's a gem inside me worth a fortune. You fool, you could have been rich." The hunter cursed his luck and begged it to return. The bird replied, "You already forgot my first 2 lessons, huh? You believe the impossible and mourn what's gone." Reflection. Wisdom often hides in the mistakes we repeat. Only those who listen and remember truly learn. 43. The man afraid of light. A man spent his whole life in darkness, hating the gloom but too afraid to leave. One day he was led outside into the sunlight. The brightness blinded him and he screamed, running back into the shadows. He said, "The light hurts too much. I prefer the darkness I know." Reflection. Many fear change, not because it's bad, but because it's unfamiliar. Growth always begins where comfort ends. 44. The lion and the reflection. A lion bent down to drink from a clear stream. Seeing its reflection, it thought another lion was blocking its way. Furious, it roared and pounced. The image disappeared with the splash. When the water stilled again, the enemy reappeared. The lion attacked over and over until exhaustion claimed its life. Reflection. Some spend their whole lives fighting their own reflection, pride, fear, and ego. Peace begins the moment we stop waging war against ourselves. 45. The last drop. A small water jar lay forgotten in the desert. Each day the sun drank away a bit of water until only one trembling drop remained. The jar whispered sadly, "When you're gone, I'll be useless." The drop sparkled back. "When I rise as vapor, I'll become a cloud and one day return as rain. You'll hold me again." Reflection. Nothing in the universe truly disappears. It only changes form to continue its purpose. 46. The grain of rice. A single grain of rice lay in a barn, sighing, "My life is meaningless. No one sees my worth." One day, it was ground, kneaded, and baked into bread. As the oven heat rose, the grain cried out, "I'm dying!" The baker smiled. "You're not dying. You're becoming nourishment for others." Reflection. Real value is found in what we give, not what we keep. To serve others is to live forever in a different form. 47. The fox's scar. A fox once got its leg caught in a trap. To escape, it bit through its own flesh, leaving a scar that made it limp forever. Ashamed, it avoided its pack. But one day, hunters returned, and while the others were captured, the limping fox escaped easily. It realized, "The wound I hated most has become my protection." Reflection. The scars we resent often become the strength that saves us later. 48. The potter's prayer. A humble potter prayed every night, "Lord, let me create the perfect vase." He spent years trying, but each one had a small flaw. In old age, surrounded by his imperfect works, he smiled and whispered, "Perfection was never the vase. It was the life spent making them." Reflection. Perfection is not in the finished work, but in the heart that never stops creating. 49. The blind man's lantern. In a quiet village, a blind man carried a bright lantern whenever he went out at night. A passerby laughed, "Why carry a light you can't see?" The blind man replied, "It's not so I can see, and it's so others can see me." Reflection. When we light the way for others, we brighten our own journey too. 50. The cracked cup. A monk owned 2 precious cups. One day a crack appeared in one of them. A disciple asked, "Oh, Master, why don't you throw it away?" The monk said, "Because every crack reminds me that nothing lasts forever." Reflection. Beauty lives even in imperfection. To cherish the flawed is to understand life's fragile grace. 51. The bell ringer. In a quiet village, there was a man who rang the temple bell every morning. People loved the sound, deep, clear, and peaceful. One day, someone asked him, "What's your secret? How do you make it sound so beautiful?" The man smiled. "I don't strike to make it loud. I simply let the bell sing its own voice." Reflection. Harmony happens when we stop forcing outcomes and allow things and people to be themselves. 52. The tailor and the needle. A master tailor was nearing retirement. His apprentice asked, "Teacher, what made you the best in your craft?" The tailor replied gently, "2 simple rules. First, I never sew when my heart is unsettled. Second, I never treat the needle as just a tool. It carries my patience and my soul." Reflection. When work is done with mindfulness and love, even the simplest tool becomes sacred. 53. The stone in the stream. A large stone sat in the middle of a stream constantly battered by flowing water. Angry and sore, it said, "Why can't you just leave me alone?" The water replied softly, "If not for me, you'd remain rough and dull. My touch polishes you little by little." Reflection. Pain and friction shape us. Life's hardships are not meant to destroy, but to refine. 54. The seed in the tree. A tiny seed buried underground complained, "It's dark, it's cold, it's suffocating. I want to get out." When spring came, it sprouted into the sunlight. But then came rain, wind, and frost, and it cried again, "This is too hard." The soil was better. Yet each time it wanted to give up, the sun appeared, and it grew a little stronger. Years later, it became a towering tree, giving shade to all who passed. Reflection. Growth often hurts, but the very place we wish to escape may be where we're meant to bloom. 55. The shepherd boy's flute. A young shepherd sat in the fields playing his flute softly. A traveler stopped and said, "What a beautiful tune. Do you play for fun?" The boy smiled. "No, I play for my sheep, to keep them calm when thunder rolls." Reflection. Music isn't just art, it's compassion made sound. 56. The traveler and the bridge. A traveler reached a river and found a broken bridge. He sighed. Why didn't the last person build it stronger? After crossing safely, he turned back and began to repair each plank and rope so others could cross with ease. Reflection. Instead of complaining about what's broken, be the one who mends it for those who come after. 57. The snail and the sun. A snail crawled slowly through a meadow, sighing, "Why can't I fly like the birds? Life would be so much better." The sun heard and said, "If you flew too fast, you'd never notice the flowers at your feet." Reflection. Every pace has its purpose. Happiness isn't how far you go, it's how deeply you live each step. 58. The last leaf. In winter, a tree stood bare except for one stubborn leaf clinging to a branch. Nearby, a dying man watched from his window. A breeze whispered to the leaf, "Let go, your time is up." The leaf replied, "Not yet. Someone down there needs hope." Each morning, the man looked and saw it still there, and each day his strength grew. Reflection. Sometimes simply enduring is the greatest gift we can offer to someone else. 59. The painter's blank canvas. A painter spent his life searching for perfection. One day, he hung a completely blank canvas on the wall. When people asked, "What does it mean?" he said, "It's the most perfect painting I've ever made because it holds endless possibilities." Reflection. A blank beginning is not emptiness. It's freedom waiting to be shaped. 60. The candle and the wind. A small candle burned quietly in a dark room. A gust of wind blew through the window, making the flame tremble. "Why are you trying to put me out?" asked the candle. "I'm not," said the wind. "I'm just passing by." When the breeze faded, the candle still glowed, smaller but steady, lighting the whole room. Reflection. Life's winds may shake us, but if our inner flame stays strong, no storm can truly extinguish us. Final reflection. Each of these 60 tales is a mirror of the human spirit, teaching us patience in hardship, humility in success, and grace in imperfection. The world may not always be kind, but wisdom and kindness can still bloom in every heart that listens.